follow me and place your hands in a beautiful position like this. And just allow yourself to sit in stillness if you can. We're just gonna gather our spirit back into our body, to this present moment, in this present moment. Bow. And as you bow, you're bowing to yourself, to your higher self, to your ancestors, to anyone that you see as your spirit guides. It is a beautiful way to also bow to yourself. Bowing to yourself in a sense that you are thanking yourself for sharing your time, for actually choosing to be here today, doing something that is beneficial for yourself, committing to your path of ever expansion and ascension. So I just wanted to say that so that you know that you're not exactly bowing to me, but you're bowing to yourself. Yeah? All right. So, what it means to be an embodied leader is something I really wanted to come in here to talk about today. Also with the irony and the paradox of just realizing that to be an embodied leader goes way beyond talking. Although that could be a way to come in and speak about what it means to be embodied, what it means to lead, and what does it mean to lead in a way where we are coming from a place of inner peace and inner knowing and true tranquility. It comes from a stillness that is instilled within you. That stillness is ever expanding. It is always something that you cultivate. And you can imagine it is a vortex. It is a vortex that you come back to every day, every moment of the day, even beyond your sacred space where you come in for meditation, yoga, ceremony, whatever that is you coming to a place where you meet the primal one, source, the divinity, and see that it is no separation from who you are. So for the ones who are joining me for the first time and you have never seen a live session with me, welcome. My name is Li Ying, and I am primarily a Cha Dao ceremonial keeper. Cha Dao in English is the way of tea, and the way of tea is a way of living where we walk the spiritual path by practicing and imbibing high vibrational ancient tea leaves. Yeah, it's a timeless wisdom. And I would actually say, I will go a little bit deeper to say that when I say ancient tea leaves, I'm talking about trees that are indigenous, ancient, wild growth. And ancient is, of course, a very broad term. It can range from 200 years to 5,000 years. And what we're working with here is really to bring heaven on earth. And we are working with a sacred medicine that has been in the pouches of shamans, worked with Zen monks for centuries. Zen monks have used the rites of rituals of tea ceremony as a non-verbal transmission, a means to transmit wisdom. And so for me to come in to share a little bit, I wanted to just make sure I cover the bases, because you might be thinking, okay, what does she do? How does she help and all of that? So this is something I do with all my clients, and I work primarily with women who identify as multidimensional women. These are women who are already on their spiritual paths usually, and they are looking at deepening into their wisdom, deepening into their remembrance, and really fully coming into full integration of what we call mind, body, spirit. And what I do in my work is very much about coming into a place where you live as the sacred. And you can literally become so embodied that you see no contradictions and separations between living a life where perhaps you are a CEO and you're leading a team of hundreds of people, and you have your spiritual practice. You can cross the veil easily from the seen realm to the unseen realm. You can access Akashic records. You can access many, many different multiple timelines where you go into Lemuria and Atlantis. And your daytime job is, I have a client who was a nurse, yeah? And she had a very powerful opening when she was working with me of learning that she has had lifetimes of being a medicine woman, or sometimes known as a witch and a priestess. And so she would learn to remember and find the stability and the deep confidence, the embodied stillness, to bring forth her divine expression here in this timeline, in this dimension. Because the most important thing is that all of us, many, many of us can talk about leadership. A lot of us can talk about, I want to lead, I want to make an impact in the world, and how are we doing it? In my world, it is so important to understand that when we talk about leadership, we're coming from an embodied way. And from a powerful perspective as a woman in power is a woman embodied in her magnetism. And we can go even deeper to speak about what that means in your cultivation. It is what we call in Taoist Chinese medicine, Neigong. Neigong means inner work. It's not something that's dependent on the external. And this is something I really want to talk about very, very, very deeply. Because a lot of times we look at outside of ourselves, and the first thing we do, even if you're doing it unconsciously, and you can monitor this maybe after this talk, because this will help you to anchor in your knowing. You're not just listening to me and walking away and saying kumbaya, bye-bye, totally forgetting what I spoke about, even if you found this talk very, very, very powerful. So the most important thing is aligned actions. Yeah? First things first. When your thoughts and your emotions are aligned, you can imagine them coming into alignment. The minute it is aligned, you are creating your reality. Yeah? Once your thoughts and your emotions are completely in alignment, you activate the creation of a certain reality, whether it is something you want or you don't want. This is why it is so important to understand your position as the creator of your reality. And there are a lot of conditionings that are shedding right now of women who are coming into really embodying and owning their mastery. Because all of you here, with no exception, and I'm going to say this really powerfully, you all have a mastery. You have a mastery of your own. There's something that you are here to resonate and radiate and bring forth into the world. Whether you are a mother, a CEO, a manager, someone who's just working at a news desk that I was back then, a couple of years ago, before I came into my own spiritual path of and owning my calling. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. It is your presence. And then you bring your mastery to the next level when you embody the frequency of this leadership that you desire to emanate into the world. This is a ripple effect, and it begins from you as the vortex. Because everything that is around you, everything that you're experiencing is not separate from you. You are unity consciousness, you are oneness. And to bring it back to Taoist philosophy, everything began with the Tao. Yeah, some of you may have heard of this. This is the unity consciousness we speak about. This is the mystery we speak about. And if ever anyone asks you to describe what the Tao is, if anyone asks you, what is the Tao? It will be wiser to say the Tao is something that is indescribable. The authentic real Tao is not describable. And if anyone describes something that is the Tao to you, you know that it isn't the Tao. Yeah, that is a saying that's taken from the very, very ancient, wise book of wisdom, Tao Te Ching. Yeah. So to know that we all began as this unity consciousness, where it's also known as Wuji, limitlessness, literally, you can start to get an idea that we all possess that in us. We are limitless. And when we started to separate into yin and yang, we can still see that in every yin there's a yang, and in every yang there's a yin. Yes? If you know what I'm saying, please let me know. Comment so that I know that I am heading in the right direction in a way, because I can go forever and sometimes it gets really esoteric, but I'm trying to get it into a place where it can really like move. Okay. Love that. Thank you Khalil, Avery, hello, and everyone else saying thank you. So knowing that you began as Wuji, which is limitlessness, and then you separated, the world started to separate when you started to come into a thicker density. The more dense the dimension is, the more separate things look. Okay? So to keep it simple, we will talk about the yin-yang symbol and what it means in our dimension. What it really means is that there is duality. And in the duality, there is even more duality. Yes? But there is always this knowing at the back of your head, if you can remember what I'm saying here. In every yin, there is yang. And in every yang, there is yin. And I love something that I learned when I was in the Shaolin temples and studying Qigong with a beautiful teacher rather. He doesn't want to call himself a master, so I call him teacher. I remember him saying that there is always in the world out there the instinct, the impulse to fight and flight, or numb ourselves, which is freeze, all the responses here, the major ones anyway. The instinct to do so is very much automated. It will take a very intentional shedding, therefore, it will take a very intentional shedding of that conditioning so that you can come from a place of neutrality. That is the embodied leader that we are looking for. Because in today's world, we have to understand the duality that is at play here. And obviously, I'm skimming the surface, but I just want to say that there is a beautiful, there is this infinite power within you. Knowing that you are infinite, knowing that you are divinity, you're the expression of the divine, you're the expression of the cosmos, yes? And also knowing that this life in human form is finite. That's why there are so many questioning sometimes of like, okay, so I'm infinite and I'm great, I'm limitless, but why do I also feel I'm so limited? And you see that, right? You see that in your life. Everywhere someone's saying, oh, there's not enough here, not enough there. And then maybe you look into the mirror and you see yourself aging and you're saying, gosh, age, finite. Money, finite. All of these things keep coursing through your head because you see what you see now. And then you decide, or rather your mind, your analytical, logical, protective mind decides that this is the reality and nothing can change. And I'm just going to go with the status quo. I'm just going to do whatever everyone's doing. And maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not meant to follow my dreams. Maybe I'm not meant to do this. Why am I the crazy one here? I'm the only one who's doing this. Maybe I'm the crazy one. And like Amma is saying, right? I am the vortex of my power is somewhat daunting, scary. If anyone else is feeling that, drop in the comments. There's no shame. This is a very safe space. There are no judgment. I always say that about my tea space. By the way, you can see it in the background. There is no judgment in the tea space. Even in the ancient days when samurais and emperors and fishermen come in to sit together, we sit on the same ground, the same level, and we share the same tea. Everyone gets the same portion. That's the way of tea. The way of tea is about coming into harmony and reverence and purity, and finally remembering our wholeness. Megan, 100%, yeah? And what do you feel is making you feel that it's daunting and scary to have that vortex of power? Because the vortex itself is actually a very extraordinary still point. Megan, beautiful. And this aspect of being alone in a human sense. That's right. And you know what? I can only speak from my personal experience, yeah? Everything I say is something I've experienced and have felt. Everything I teach is also something I've personally experienced and felt. And I can tell you this. I've always, hi Els! I've always feared being alone. You know, from the youngest time I could even remember, I've always feared people leaving me. And I've always feared that the worst fear I would say is that someone passes away and I don't get to see them ever again. It breaks my heart and it's very, very difficult. It's always been very difficult for me to leave someone or to have someone leave me. And so to answer your question, or rather to reflect back to you, Megan, and I speak from my heart when I say this, you're not alone. You have never been alone. And this feeling is only something I can describe to the best I can. However, I wish for you to absolutely experience this for yourself, yeah. When we see ourselves going back to the limitlessness that we are, when we really feel that land in us, you know, it's like, it may be something that opens for you very suddenly and you get it, or it could be something you got it and then you want to cultivate, which is the latter is where I go. I go there every day. I go into that vortex of stillness in my sacred ceremony with the guidance of Tea Spirit that opens the portal for ascension. It opens the portal for me to communicate with my ancestors, the light guides, and Source. Tao speaks through me in ceremony. And for the ones who feel alone, I can tell you this. There was this one moment actually, and it's very interesting because if you've ever had a meditation practice, you may come to the space and do the same thing every day. And every day for a tea ceremony, we have this saying, we come to the space with a beginner's mind, because every time we come to a ceremony, it's the first and the last time ever. Because I'm always changing, I'm always evolving, and even if I have the same tea with the same setup, with the same person, it will taste different. It's really remarkable. That's just a testament to the ever-changing, evolving environment that we're in. And so I had a moment where I was releasing my entire body and releasing my dantian, and I was releasing my vortex, literally all the vortices in me, into deep state. And I found myself almost like I could feel my spirit was lifting away from my body, and I tried to move my body because I wanted to pull the spirit back. I was so afraid that I wouldn't come back. But I knew in the moment, somehow, my soul was saying to me, this is the expansion that you're looking for. This is the ascension. You have to go. Yeah, you have to go. And I remember fearing so much that I kept coming back. Like I was pulling it back. And then when I came out of the meditation, I was sitting with my teacher, and I spoke to him. I described to him what I felt. I said I wasn't falling asleep. I was very aware of what was going on. And he said to me, do not be afraid of death. Do not be afraid of death. You will be okay. And so I allowed myself to move out of the body the next time I did this. And I saw all that is. And this is the way I can only explain the experience of, in a way, overcoming the fear of death and failure, the fear of being alone. Because every mystic, yeah, let's just be real, every mystic is here to travel alone. We are traveling alone in the human sense. And I love that you felt that transmission coming across to you, Megan, because sometimes the mind cannot make sense of the teaching in these words. But when you feel it in your soul, you understand. You remember, because you remember the light. You see the light in me is you. You see the truth in me, and that truth is you. Yeah? And that is what it means to be fully embodied, because there is no room to speak and then do something else. This has happened so much, yeah? So much in the peers that I know of and things that I saw online, and then the next thing you know, they are a different person behind the scenes. We have to really stand in full integrity. And what that also means is that sometimes we have to really make space in our lives. And the Duchess is saying, I feel like I'm living through many of my fears, healing my wounds so I can step into my full authentic power. Exactly. So I want to share something. Yesterday I was with my private client, and we have been really diving deep into playing in the quantum field. Playing in the quantum field is like really seeing what you want to create in the field and really magnetizing it in by sitting fully in your vortex of stillness. This is the only way I can say it. But we go into deep states deep meditative activations in ceremony where we can really work on that. And we also do that through the body. Okay. So we are going to, there's something I'm going to speak about, because she has been doing that often and she's been able to release a lot of things. And I remember her sitting there and she's saying, well, you know, I feel like there's something I still feel like I need to keep coming back to it. Like it's almost like, you know, like I need to remember that I am that. I need to remember that I'm divine. I need to remember that I am the healer, that I'm the shaman. Yes. So what I'm going to say is that, just give me a moment. Okay. So what I'm going to say is that what I said to her, which is, if you feel that there is something in your body that is asking you to look at it when you're sitting in meditation, when you're moving through your fears, do not hide from it. Do not even allow, and this is something that you get to master, it gets better and better, I promise. Do not allow the mind to skip over it, because the mind can skip over a lot of things in protection and defense. And this is what I would say, going back to what I was saying about my teacher saying, everyone is so used to reacting with fight, flight, freeze response immediately. Yeah. For example, if someone came towards you and they did something that is almost like in your mind, you process it as like they're trying to attack you. And it may be true or it may not be, but your first instinct is to fight back, right? Or your instinct is to run. Or your other instinct is to like, oh my God, I'm going to take it and I'm just going to numb myself. I'm not going to say anything, right? So you want to get to a point where your instinct, your first instinct isn't to react. Your first instinct is to release into the tension. And I'm speaking in terms that can be applied to your body. You release into the tension, meaning you decompress the body so that your nervous system can take a moment in stillness. If you have to stand here right now with that person or whatever it is that you're dealing with, you take a moment and you're allowing the tension to be there for that moment. Because if you react with the fight, flight, freeze response, and I know this can be very contradicting sometimes to a lot of people, because I remember saying this to my father-in-law, and the first thing he said was like, what if that person is going to attack you? What if you get hurt? What if they hit you in the face? What if they? That to me is a clear sign that there's a lot of stuff that you are invited to clear out from your nervous system. Because what you're doing is you're building up a lot of energetic dissonance that is going to cause you eventually physical ailments. Yeah, heart disease did not happen overnight. Okay, high blood pressure didn't happen overnight. And an embodied leader is here to lead with light. We're not here to carry our heavy baggage and project it onto another person. And that clarity comes from being still. That clarity comes from the willingness to meet ourselves in stillness. I'm going to read the comments here for a moment. I feel fear of my true self. In childhood, it was very unsafe to be myself, to shine. And I've realized that I feel the most comfortable when I know things won't go well and I'm actually scared of my full power. I am holding on to the fear so tight. It feels safe to be small, like I'll die if I let go. So thank you for sharing about the fear of death. I'm hearing I need to pay attention to this part of me. I've been skipping and resisting it. It's in my throat. Yeah. So I'm here just sending you all the vibes. And if you want to reach out for a more deeper session, you can absolutely reach out. But what I'm going to say is that keeps you safe, right? That keeps you feeling really safe. There's nothing that you need to worry about. Every day it's the same. And it's interesting because it's bringing me back to the time when I was exactly like that. So for the ones who didn't know, I had many years of eating disorder. I was primarily anorexic for about 10 years. And I was in yo-yo recovery, so there were different other eating disorders, including binge eating and body dysmorphia, all of that. And I'm fully recovered, obviously, but I'm just gonna say that I lived in that way, in fear, for a long time. And every day was the same, because I just wanted to be safe. So I would go to work, and I will come home from work, I would just sit in my apartment, and every day it's that same thing of eating like whatever I was eating. If I had food, you know, at one point it was dried fruits, at one point it was just fruits, and then at one point it was cereal, and it was like one meal a day or maybe no meals a day. It was very safe every day. And then when I got to the point where it was literally life or death, I decided I want to live. And what that meant to me, I knew, was to be 2 feet in to my recovery. And it was so damn scary. Guys, it was so, oh my God, I was terrified because I knew I knew that my body was going to bloat, and I knew my body was going to react. Yeah, in all the ways. All the ways. The floodgates are open. And so I spent 1 year living on my own in Hong Kong, not socializing, not meeting anyone, not going on dates, nothing. I was just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, you know, making small meals slowly by the day. And if I had to eat more, I would eat more. But I just didn't have the confidence to show up because I saw myself as really small, and I saw myself as a very ugly, bloated woman. Yeah. And so it took me a long time to step into my full power the way I am now. And I would say I don't even think I am in my fullest power ever. And again, going back to limitlessness, there's a lot I haven't actually done yet. And also at the same time, I'm living 1 foot in gratitude and 1 foot in evolution. Every moment I take that step, one step at a time, one step at a time. And I remember making this declaration when I said I would go 2 feet into recovery. I refused to fear again. And at that time, it was fear for food. And I knew that I didn't want to live alone. Yeah. And so that was the declaration I made to myself, and very swiftly things started to change. Same thing with when I crossed paths with this beautiful tea ceremony rite of passage that initiated me into being one of the keepers of this way. I got down on my knees and I prayed. I asked the universe, because I was at a point in my life where everything externally looked amazing. I had the boyfriend who's now my husband. I had the great career. I had the amazing apartment. And yet, it felt like I didn't know what it was, but I said to the universe, please show me a way. I don't know what it is, but I know there's something out there. Please show me the way. And very quickly, got a media invitation. I was working in media back in the day in Hong Kong. I got the invitation to go to a tea ceremony. First thing I went in there, I was blown away by the reverent silence and the beauty of the imperfection, the wabi-sabiness of the tea table. You know, it's kind of like how it looks like right here, right now. I'm just moving out of the way to show you. And when I lifted the bowl, I remember hearing tea spirit speak to me. And at the time, I had half of my mind thinking, oh my God, have I gone nuts? But I heard her say, you have to drop everything you know and go and serve tea. And I felt the presence of my late grandmothers and the great-grandmothers and the women, all the lineage, the line, the bloodline of women in my family, this dimension, this reality, this lifetime, and maybe even beyond. But I felt it so strongly, I couldn't ignore this calling. And when you actually say yes to accepting this, almost like an invitation from the universe, things can happen so quickly. This I can promise you. I got into training. I became an apprentice. I thought I was going to go to Taiwan to be with the master, but the master came to Hong Kong. Yeah. Buddha came to the mountain. Yes, I think that's the same. So everything led up to the point where I left Hong Kong, and now I'm sitting in Scotland, in Edinburgh, because I heard the lands calling me. And of course, my boyfriend at the time sent me a beautiful note to say, would you like to move in with me? Let's try. And for me to make that leap of leaving behind everything, it was like a full-on yes. It was a no-brainer. There was nothing, no hesitation, because I had the guidance of tea. I can tell you this. I knew that even if the relationship didn't work out, I have done the best I could. And this is going to be the journey of my lifetime. And then, you know, the world shut down, as we all know. But I still would say my life would have been so different if I didn't have tea with me, if I didn't have this ritual, this ceremony. And then I just continued, I just had the courage really to pursue what I loved. It began with that. And then the grand vision started to unveil itself. The grand vision of all the women living in ceremony, knowing herself to be the sacred, living as the sacred. The grand vision started to come through, and at that point I was asked, will you accept this? Will you do this? Are you willing to step up? And heck, I was so scared. I remember the goddess speaking to me actually when I was in the Isle of Skye last year. I knew that it was percolating. It hit me like a thunderbolt, but I didn't know what to do. I just knew it was going to be the thing that has to happen. And then I went through all the initiations, like a shaman, the death of my ego, of understanding who I am and taking back my power, because I was allowing myself to be manipulated because I thought I was not good enough. I was not enough, not this, not that. And then I thought I could give my power away to someone else, put them on the pedestal, because I thought they will fix me or they will give me the solution. Yeah? And so now I sit here and say to you, no more of that. I am standing here fully owning my power. I'm going forth and creating the ripples that I'm here to create. And this is for you as well. Because if you do not see your own light, if you do not see your own power, it is very easy to be manipulated from the outside because you're allowing it. Again, going back to being a creator of your reality, rather than looking outside of you and saying, they didn't make this happen for you, that didn't happen, we come back inward, we turn the light back inward. And we ask ourselves very honestly, why, how did I give my power away? What did I really fear? Because ultimately going back to the limitlessness, Wuji, that we talked about at the beginning of this session, you are not separate from your external reality. You are the creator creating this creation as we speak. So speaking about quantum leaps, quantum shifts, collapsing timeline, that's how it happens. In my T space, we collapse space. Because, and some of you may be surprised to hear this, everything I do is online. It's virtual. I hardly do any in-person tea ceremonies. And I started in 2020 because of that very thing that has happened in the world. And I got into the online space and I started to hear a lot of testimonials from women saying, oh my gosh, like, there's something here. I thought that I would just be drinking tea across the screen from you, but I could feel my mother, I could feel my grandmother, I could feel something rising through me. And some of them traveled through Lemuria, some of them traveled through Mintaka with me. I have had many timelines there. We traveled through the cosmos. So I call it a tea ceremony in the cosmos. Yeah, we're riding the dragon. We collapse space because that is what we are. This is who we are. All of us, we are all made of energy, frequency. There is no separation. Let's see the comments. Hearing about the matrilineal connection brought me to tears. Beauty. There is so much pain and suffering amongst my foremothers. I feel it so deeply. It really resonates. The answer is within me. My name literally means light of the divine. And they gave me this name at birth. Wow. You're speaking to my heart so deeply. Thank you. Thank you, my love. I'm so happy to hear that. I actually have a beautiful tea called Divine Light. And it is a wild growth tea tree, white tea. It's incredible. Just had to say it. So, beautiful ones who are tuning in today, you are being called to walk as the embodied leader. First and foremost, anything, any residual that is holding you back, regulate your nervous system. Yeah? You can absolutely come in for an experience with me. This is the place that we do the work of really grounding you into the vortex of stillness so that you can ascend, or you can deepen into your modalities, the current modalities, the existing modalities that you already are working on. Wow, Jennifer, hello. I have just come into this live and I am already feeling connection energy. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Thank you all. Wow, thank you for this space. Yeah, see how many of us are cheering for you, my love. It's incredible. So I wanted to say this. You know, today I was in my 5 a.m. Qigong class and we were doing a move where we are separating heaven and earth. And it's so interesting because this move is literally almost like you're bringing the energy up from earth and then you're bringing the heaven earth back down to earth. So you're feeling it in your body. And I remember that this is something that is very powerful as a move for your Neigong, your inner work. Because the move from the outside looks really simple. It's literally one move. You see that's one stance. But inside, a lot was going on. So maybe that's what you're feeling that I'm emanating out today, because I really felt it. It was so powerful. And this is what we're here to do, my loves. You know, we're all here to do. Jennifer is saying, yes, so strong. I need this so much today. Thank you. So in sync with my journey. I'm so happy to hear that. To be embodied is, yes, like I said, first and foremost, regulate your nervous system. Come in for an experience with me or go do the existing modalities that are helping you right now and deepen into it. Because here's the thing, and this is something I see that is so special for a tea ceremony, is that you get to really be guided by a spirit that is in the liquor itself, that is adaptogenic, by the way. So there's nothing like in ayahuasca where it makes you go like, oh my gosh, okay? This is for your daily practice. It's absolutely safe. It's an adaptogenic, and it allows you to drop in deep. It drops you from the mind down to your heart and deeper into your womb space. Because your center point in your body is right there below the belly, the belly button. This is something we go into very deeply in my mentorship spaces, but suffice to say is that if the things that you're doing right now are not working, it's worthwhile to really reflect on what can I clear out to create luxurious spaciousness in my life so that the new can come in, and be courageous enough to go forward and try something that's new, that you feel a resonance with, like Jennifer is saying. I can feel the frequency, I can feel the connection, the energy. Following the energy never lies. The problem I feel is that a lot of people, and this is something I reflect on a lot on my own journey, is that a lot of times we have that insight, spirit dropped in and showed us something, we heard it, we saw it, we felt it, and then we use our analytical mind to dissect it and make sense of it. And then the frequency dissipates. Because this is also coming back to the importance of taking aligned actions. Because what happened there is basically there's an energy spark, like there's a spark, but because you're not feeding that energy, eventually it will just dissipate. Same thing with vision, same thing with dreams. Talk about leadership. Are you leading? Are you leading yourself? Are you leading others in the way that you desire to be leading? Because this is all energy. It really is all energy. And the work of compounding the energy is always the primary intention of all of my work. Yes, you can shift very quickly. However, some people can do that very quickly. Why? Because they've been already practicing this, or they had previous karma. They've come back this lifetime to do this and finish this work. There are a lot of things at play here that you cannot compare yourself to others. This is why I always say this, there's no comparison ever, because every single soul has a different purpose, different unique sacred geometry to them. To be embodied is to be who you are, that's all. If today you cannot connect with your heart, stay with where it wants to connect. Like someone here said, the throat. It's okay. If today you can't feel the spirits dropping in, stay with what's happening in your body instead, because I'm going to tell you this, you can't skip that. You cannot. You're just going to crash and burn. Yeah? So it's very important to bring that to the forefront for people to understand this, because embodiment is a very deep art. It's a very, very powerful and sacred art. The art of really holding space is a birthing process. And so we have to have integrity. This includes what you are ingesting, what you are bringing into your own sacred space, the body. That's why I'm so, I put a lot of emphasis on working with only indigenous high vibrational tea leaves when I come into ceremony, right? So what is it for you that you're not being very honest with in your life now, that is perhaps impeding you from embodying the truth of who you are, which is the expression of the divine? Yes? I'm just feeling all of your energy here in this space. Is so beautiful. I can feel the back of my heart glowing. So I'm going to take a moment. If there are any questions, reflections you want to share, you can. And if not, I will declare today's session complete. Jennifer is saying, oh my God, everybody is resonating. I have been struggling with lots of toxicity. I'm trying to hang on. I felt like I was failing myself today, and then I opened Insight Timer. Yeah. And find this space. I hear and feel your words so loud and make sense. Yeah. I love that, Jennifer. It's spirit calling you and you answered. And let me know, how do I pronounce your name? Alpha Chuku? Let me know. How do we get in touch with you? You can absolutely explore my profile page and reach out wherever that is convenient to you. You can check out my website as well, Instagram, all that jazz. I'm all there. Avery, do you also drink tea when out of ceremony, or does it always feel like a deep experience for you? Oh my gosh, such a great question. So I'll take a moment to answer this question, and yeah, it will be amazing. So I'm gonna say this: ceremony is the whole primary intention of cultivating a practice of having tea in ceremony is so that you can live in ceremony. To know that you are the sacred, to embody the sacred everywhere you go, anytime. And so when I'm back home in Malaysia, I actually have a beautiful tea brother that I visit all the time. And he owns a tea house that's like buzzing, and there's like a lot of talking, and there are people serving tea, and we'll be talking when we drink tea. But every time we land on a really divine tea, everyone just goes silent at the table. It's like, without fail, it's like, oh my God. Oh. It's that incredible when you have beautiful tea leaves like this. So a deep experience can occur at a really noisy table. Trust me, when you have tea leaves like this, it's incredible. Ife Chugu. Ife Chugu. Oh, so beautiful. So it's an I. Ife Chugu. Oh, love that. Megan, tea draws me to the present moment. Amazing. I love that. So just for the people who are joining me for the first time, the tea that I use, they are what we call tea from the indigenous lands. So usually I work with tea from China, from Taiwan, and Japan primarily, because these are places that still have ancient tea trees rather than tea bushes. And this is something that I go really deep into in one of my mentorship spaces. So if you are interested in that, reach out. Avery, oh, I love that. It's like practicing finding the magic in the mundane. Yes, you're so nailing it. Exactly. That's one of the key embodied practices of the way of tea, where we really see the extraordinary in the ordinary. So you totally nailed that. It is something you can say, you know, people always say that, there's a book that's written about it, but like when you actually experience it, you literally see the divine everywhere. You feel the divine everywhere. Even when you're just washing your dishes, you know, there's something so beautiful. It's like, oh my God, like, wow. So I love that. This is why, this is my mission. This is my purpose, for every woman to live in ceremony. That's the vibe. Yeah, to find the magic in the mundane. I love that. Shante, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your insights and wisdom. And Jennifer, yes, you will always, well, if you're called to, this could be your most divine experience. So reach out if you are, if you're feeling the call, okay? So beautiful people. Thank you so much for staying on all the way. Remember, aligned actions can anchor in your declaration, your vision today. So go take some action. Yeah, whether it's just writing in your journal, I'm no longer tolerating blah, 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 or I am the leader. I am the divine in a human form, or I choose to live as the embodied leader, whatever it is. Yeah, you can absolutely anchor that in today, and then the next step will be shown to you. But do not sit and forget. That's what happens. The energy dissipates. We gotta keep feeding it. Yes? So do not, rather than leaking your energy to feed something that doesn't benefit you, let's feed that energy unwaveringly, unapologetically to the things that are here for you to amplify and lead and create, right? Avery, thank you for your wisdom. This is my life's work as well. Yes! It feels so divine too, to be in the company of other women in this path. I love that. And I love your name, the Lamplight Mystic. We are all mystics on this path. We're all mystics in this path. And do not forget that as mystics, we are here to work with the mystery. Mastery in the mystery is one of my mastermind's tagline, by the way. So do not fear the mystery, because it is in the mystery that we get to really get in touch with our limitless potential. Yes? Yes, we are. All right, I love it today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for all your wonderful energy. I love you all. Again, reach out if you desire to connect, and if you desire to donate. Thank you so much as well. Sharing so much love, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.